Hundreds, maybe even thousands of African Americans have been traveling to the country of South Africa. This year alone, I think South Africa has seen immense amount of growth in tourism, and there is a special group that is focusing on the African American community to provide them luxurious travel experiences. And they're going to tell you how it's not as hard as you think. So, welcome to the live stream. If you want to be greeted, say hello. Let us know where you're joining from. I'm Ashley on my channel, Ashley in Africa. I share my experience of doing business, traveling, and moving to the continent of Africa. I'm currently in the beautiful city of Johannesburg, South Africa, and I am joined today by our special guest, the Real South Africa, the realist luxury tourism travel company based here in South Africa that focuses on creating beautiful five-star luxury travel experiences for us. So I'm currently in WeWork. You're going to see a lot of people in the background, but these are just one of the luxuries that we get to experience when living here in Johannesburg, South Africa. But I want to bring them on. So give a warm welcome to Mark and Dr. Latasha. Welcome.
Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, well, hi, family. It has been so long.
It has been, it has been. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and thank you for the opportunity to speak on your platform. We appreciate it so much. So if you have questions directly, we're happy to answer them, but we're also happy to just tell our story. And I'm going to introduce to you, I'm Dr. Latasha Blanton, and this is my
I'm Mark Blanton,
the
the unknown Mark Blanton.
unknown Mark Blanton. Right.
Very
The
unknown.
I don't think people are unfamiliar, but it's awesome to be able to have you on the platform. I don't know if we've ever done like a live stream on my
No.
side. This is
No,
exciting. This is
no.
No.
exciting. I know we've done events, right? So this is not your first time contributing to events, or just the support system that we're creating for other people. But I'm just grateful to have you on and to have you a part of the conversation, the work that we're doing. And for the Travel Move Do Business virtual conference, but also like paving the way, because I say this all the time, but I will say it while you all are here. You were the introduction, my introduction to South Africa, through Johannesburg and Durban, and I constantly sing your praises, recommend your services. But I want to learn more about what inspired you both to start the Real South Africa. Um, let's start there and share that with our audience.
Well, I would say this. First of all, it's good to see that you came through. You saw Africa for what it was. You kind of took a little guidance here and there. You added your own mix into it. Who you were and whatnot. And of course, you wasn't naive whatsoever, and you knew it was going to be a little work, but you was willing to do it. And then you created a platform. It's not easy to create a platform to reach many people where people contact you and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? How do
Mhm.
I do this? And then you expertly, guide them through the process. And it's not easy because it's a different process from the US. But people are coming through and they are benefiting from your efforts. So that's a good thing. And that's kind of how we started. We're in this US space and at some point, and we were just like, we're doing very well for ourselves. We're entrepreneurs. We're owners. We're doing all this stuff. And I'm not just talking about like a little teeny business, but it was pretty significant. And of course, we have professional backgrounds that are pretty decent. And even at that level, we felt like we wasn't getting our just due. We just wasn't getting it. It wasn't happening. Like you always think if you can get that next level, then things will open up, and you get there. There's a whole nother door. You be like, ah. So we decided obviously to move to South Africa, and like a lot of people say, we probably could have kept it to ourselves, but we didn't, and we started opening it up. And then what happened was through tourism, we met a lot of people here in this space talking about tourism, tourism, tourism. We didn't really understand what it meant. We thought, oh, you mean like taking a trip? We're like, no, tourism. So when they explained it to us, and then we had a lot of interactions because they were, this was back in 2018. They were bringing us to meetings. We were going out to these sites. We were doing a lot of stuff in the tourism space. So that's why people always hear us say tourism, because that's what we're actually doing, which ultimately is giving people a inside view of what South Africa could be for them. And so that's what we provide. They see it, and then they're like, oh my God, maybe South Africa is an option. But if they just come on a trip, they're not going to see it. They're going to think they see it, but they're not going to see it. And those that they see it and they get motivated, just like us. We came here and we were hosted properly. Everything went well, and we thought South Africa was an option. So that's basically, I would say, how we got started, and that was our motivation. And like I said, we could have said nothing, but we wanted other people to be able to take advantage of this, because most South Africans was like, where are the African Americans? We need them here. So we were like, we could do that. It's not a problem.
Absolutely, and do it very well. I mean, exceptionally well. I know my experience did exactly that. It opened me up to what the possibilities could look like, what life could look like. And I got to do a bit of both, the luxury tourism aspect. I
Mhm.
felt very taken care of. I felt very safe, and secure. And of course, these are the things that a lot of people have concerns about. But I want to ask you, what makes South Africa a premier luxurious travel destination? And then how do you create those experiences that are unique for African Americans? And so much so that they keep coming back or that they don't want to leave.
I know.
So what I think, when it comes to making South Africa so luxurious and so attractive, is the fact that it does have a lot of creature comforts that we're used to as Americans. It has a very vibrant culture, very robust lifestyles. It has infrastructure that can rival some of the best first world countries. And those things are inviting enough by itself. But then you mix all of that with the people of South Africa, which to me is their biggest asset. So you mix all of that together, you put them in places where they can see other people, in spaces where there's like Black excellence, whether in all the 5-star hotels, you're going to see movers and shakers in the country that are going to be right there for you to have access to. So those things combined open South Africa up, opens your mind up to have you say, this is something I should really consider, because everything that I'm looking for is actually already here. I just need to insert myself. So by tourism, we put you in that space. And then from there, you can start thinking of how you can do it yourself. I mean, you're a prime example. We put you in spaces. You saw the gaps, you saw what could be done, and you did that for yourself. So that's kind of, the main thing that South Africa offers to me, and why we share it the way we share it.
Yeah. Oh, and let me add this to it as well. And with us, we could try to do this from the US. We could be in Atlanta, we can be in DC metropolitan area, LA, Dallas, and Houston, all these great, wonderful places where you find a lot of people that look like us. But you have to have these interactions. You got to build these relationships with these locations and these people and these brands that are already here in South Africa. So because we're here full time, we live in Johannesburg full time, and we travel a lot in this country. People think they see everything. I'm like, you see like a tenth of what we actually do. But the good part about it is that we build relationships, and people can call us anytime and say, hey, let's have a coffee tomorrow, and we can meet them there and talk about tourism and what they're offering, and they know that we're here. So I think for our case, it really the reason we're able to do what we do, because we have a lot of people who are participating in the tourism space with us. So it's not just us. People think it's just us, but we have I mean, my email box blows up every day about opportunities for travel. Hey, can we have a meet? Can we talk? Sometimes them educating us on something that we didn't know, and vice versa. We're educating it for them to where they're like, oh, so this is how you deal with Americans. Yes. because they generally don't deal with Americans. They usually deal with Europeans and other Africans, and we are a different animal. So when we break it down and they're like, okay, great, then we could do that. And next thing you know, we put it out there and our people come and they have an amazing time because they don't realize that we gear that whole situation towards, an African American versus, let's say, a person coming from China.
So true. Yesterday, we spoke with an immigration attorney or immigration consultant from IBN, and she was saying that
Yeah.
over the last 5 years, their business has dramatically increased to Americans. Now, she didn't specify like, African Americans versus Asian Americans versus, others, but she did say Americans she's been seeing a lot of. And I remember when I was having my call with Dr. Latasha, she was just like, I was really, I was in Tanzania and I was talking about, yeah, like I just want to experience something that's a little easier. And she was like, I think you're being very polite, but what I'm telling you is
Yes, he did say
that
that.
yes, like there is opportunity to have these creature comforts that you're familiar with while also getting exposed to the beauty of the country, the people and the culture. And you were spot on. What are some of the misconceptions that people have when they're making those phone calls, right? Or what are some of the biggest holdups that they have that you try your best to, you know, communicate through that gets them booking their trip to come to South Africa?
Um, you know, I like that question because you would expect in 2024 for people to have um, an access to, as they say, Beyonce's internet, that they would have more information when it comes to not just Africa, but South Africa as well. And a lot of the questions we get are still the same old questions that your great grandmother would ask. Are there animals running around? People still ask us those questions. People still ask us about the housing, about the roads, about the food. They ask us, is it okay to travel safe? They want to know, are they going to walk down the road and get mugged, or is someone going to rob them? I mean, these are all questions that they still ask to this day, regardless of the fact that I live here. I'm like, I would never move to a country that I wasn't safe in. My husband would never pick up and be like, let's move to a country where you're not going to be safe. So those are some of the questions that we get. So a lot of the misconceptions stem from generational stuff. So as we are trying to undo that, we tell people, look, we live here. It's going to be safe. You're going to have an amazing experience. We provide so much security and so much luxury that you're going to, forget that you're in Africa, quote unquote, because you're going to feel so safe. You're going to feel so comfortable. And I think that you understood that as soon as you stepped down, and I think we put you in Rosebank, and you were like, everything's right here. And you were able to navigate and you weren't afraid, and you did travel solo. So a lot of people ask us about traveling solo as well. And we treat all of our clients the same. They all get personalized attention. You might be traveling alone, but you're also not alone. So that's where I would start. I'm sure Mark has his own addition to that. But
Yeah, let me just mention this because a lot of it comes
Please
from
do.
as when I was in the military, we used to have a thing called the rumor mill, and people they're just talking. They don't know. They're passing rumors back and forth. They're trying to pass it off as fact. I heard this. I heard that. A friend of mine said this, and nobody's responsible for their words. So they're just saying things sometimes to keep the conversation going or whatever. I don't know, but there are a lot of times when we'll be here on the phone or things that are second and third party. And but did you actually go there? Like, no, my friend, he said, and so forth and on and on. And then if you ask them, oh, it was some salacious video that was put out, of course, for clicks and likes and things along that line. So we run across that. And I think number two, people like put all these countries together and they're like, oh, okay, well, if it happened in Ethiopia, then it must be happening in South Africa, and it takes 10 hours on a plane to fly from one place to the other. So obviously there are different locations. So those are some of the things that we've overcome on many occasions. And then they get here and their mind is just totally blown. I'm talking about 90% of the time, and to the point to where we got to slow them down and say, hold on, you're gonna, everything's great. I know you're hearing everything, but let's just stay with what we're doing. And then by the time they're leaving, they're really are impressed with what South Africa is able to offer.
Yes, of course. And I think that through the safety that you provide, through the experiences that you provide, and just some of the conversations that you get to have from before you arrive to while you're here in country, um, those experiences, those misconceptions are immediately dispelled, like
Yeah.
immediately, right? So, um, folks, if you're finding value in the stream, please be sure to like it so that other people find out that we're live and get access to the information as well. Thank you to everyone that's commenting. Hello, hello. My next question that I want to ask is, are you seeing an increase in travel, right? In visiting, but also not only visiting, but relocating and investing in South Africa from African Americans? Are you seeing any of that happen here in South Africa?
I would say the answer to that is an emphatic yes. Obviously, we're late to the party. People that are watching our content and actually booking with us primarily are Black Americans, but they're not the only ones watching our content. They see our content, especially a lot of Caucasians, a lot of Europeans, a lot of Americans. They don't really contact us, but they actually start getting more interest in South Africa based off what we see. So when you get the immigration expert from IBN and they're saying Americans, because they're not waiting. They see that there's an opportunity here in South Africa, and they're not asking any questions. They're just like, let me come down there and see it for myself. And a lot of them had the same misconceptions, but they come and they just like, you know what, now I'm here. Now let me look at investments and things along those lines. And they're all here. They're here in spades. Do we see a lot of people? And I'm talking mostly, Black Americans or African Americans, in general, moving here. I can say there was a robust crowd here when we got here. There were people here, but most of them were from the 1990s. That we connected with and so forth. We were the new ones, the new people here. Believe it or not, there was a time, and now we've been here 7 years. Moving here, and of course, many years of interaction with South Africa. And so we just put it in a good light so people can see what it actually is. And yes, we see a lot of people um, um, moving here. Like for example, we have a real estate tour starting next weekend, and we got a lot of. I had to normally I try to keep it at a certain number. I went over that because people was like literally like, I want to come, I want to look at the opportunities here. So there's opportunities and obviously in real estate, there's opportunities in mining industries. Like for example, this week at the Santa Convention Center, they having the Music and Lifestyle Expo. Which if you come to that, then you get an opportunity to meet the movers and shakers in the music industry and there's all these lifestyle things they have going on here in South Africa. So that's information that you can get. But unfortunately, you got to buy a ticket and then you have to actually go into the Santa Convention Center. Santa Convention Center happens to be in Santa City, and Santa City happens to be in South Africa. So you have to come to South Africa. You're not going to get that in LA. First of all, they're not going to invite you because LA doesn't do these types of things. So it's a wide open scenario, and we find people. We had David and D who came with us several times, and they're starting their ministry. They got their online ministry. They're doing things in the townships. They're doing stuff everywhere. So there are plenty opportunities here, but like I tell everybody, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and come and spend a little bit of time and then talk with people such as ourselves who on the screen, who we're on ground every day. We talk to a lot of movers and shakers in the Republic of South Africa that's looking for those Americans who are looking to invest and be part of this whole experiment called South Africa.
The other thing too, actually, I'm going to add is that, when we talk about the investment opportunities, it's not that you can't do all of that without a visit, but we do that through tourism. So once you've had a proper visit, you'll see everything you need to see, just like you did. And then from there, you can start looking at the areas that are available, and then you can move forward from there. So obviously, there has to be a plan in place. There's a process that has to be done, and I think that's why your platform is so amazing, because you give them a blueprint. Yes, I give them the blueprint to kind of do certain things, but I think together we're providing a context that says this is how you do it, this is how you do it the right way. And because we've been here so long and we've been traveling back and forth, our goal is to say, okay, travel here properly, come visit sunny South Africa. If you decide you want to transition, these are the things that we want to make sure you avoid. So we try to do that, without having to pick people up after they've already bumped their head, because that's when it gets a
Yeah,
bit difficult.
absolutely. Can you talk about some of those things, right, that people need to be aware of, and like the don'ts, right? So we're already talking about the do's. Be
Yeah.
open-minded, come with an open mind, come ready to experience something new, release the things that you thought you knew before you got on that plane. But what are some of the absolute don'ts that you have seen, you've experienced, and you want to share with people when it comes to experiencing South Africa for their visit?
There's okay.
I love
There's
the
so
way y'all
many.
look at each other. It's amazing.
Yeah. There's so many things. I would say one of the best things that you can do, and I might not be answering the question properly, but understand. I mean, like truly understand. I understand. I know when you get here, it feels comfortable. There's a lot of familiarity. The people look like you, and it's something that activates inside of us that say, this is what I've been looking for my entire time. The part that I think people ultimately miss is the fact that they don't realize that they're going into a whole different culture, a whole different thing. They just think, oh, they're black culture like us.
Yeah.
And like I had some African Americans ask me one time, so do they teach black history in their schools? And I said, what do you mean black history? Like the black history, like from the US. And I'm like, they have their own country, they have their own history, they have their own everything. And I'm like, well, you don't know much about their history, but you want them to know everything about yours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of one sided. So when you come here, you gotta kind of put down all those baggages. You can keep them, but just kind of put them down and understand that you're going into it. Even though they look like you, they kind of talk like us, they can eat the same foods, and we kind of vibe together in a lot of ways. You got to understand that you are still in a different culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been called South African so often, and most people they just think that I'm South African because I know I changed my dialect when I'm talking from time to time, especially when I'm out in rural places. I just flip it. I don't know why, I just do. And but I got to remind myself that I'm an immigrant, and so and that's obviously once you become somebody who's been here for a while. But for your tour, I think the best thing to do is just put your guards down and be able to minimally understand that you're on a different culture and accept it. Stop trying to every conversation you're going to convert a South African to an American.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen because, as they say here, they're proudly South African.
100%.
And I feel the exact same way.
So I would say, and I'm going to summarize what he said, like, don't come here with your American mindset and expect to be greeted with open arms, meaning that you need to understand that they are South African. They're going to welcome you, but don't come here acting like a colonizer. Don't think you're going to change the world. Don't think you need to come and save them. These people are probably doing better than you are, if we need to be honest about, if we need to be honest, you know what I mean? The young people are amazing here. Understand that when you meet a young person, that you need to listen as well. They probably have some information to impart on you that you didn't know. But don't look down on anybody. Just come here with an open mind. Be ready to explore. Be ready to eat the good food, and be ready to learn something. So don't come here with a closed mind, because those are the things that I tell people in our conversation. Please, please, please don't come with a closed mind. You will definitely have a bad experience, and it will be because of your attitude.
Yeah, because you're not going to the Bahamas, you're not going to Mexico, you're not going to DR, you're not going to all these different places. That's what people in their mind, just from my perspective, as they're talking about going international, they're thinking international, Puerto Rico and all these different in Cancun and whatever they're going, and all these islands in the Caribbean. So they're thinking they're coming to that for some reason, and they don't realize that this is not the Caribbean. This place isn't influenced like for example, the U.S. is influencing the Caribbean. Everything is a massive U.S. influence. Here
Yep.
in South Africa, there's not a massive U.S. influence here. There's the rest of the world influences South Africa, and South Africa inserts its own influence outward to these locations. And if you coming in as an American looking for the blanket of the American influence, it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say.
Very interesting. And I think that it's really important that we share that in a way that we do, because a lot of the times I realize people don't realize that they are doing it, like that they're imposing. One of the
Yeah.
things that I tell people when they're having conversations, be, what is it? Not refuse, but hesitate on saying, well, in the US, it's like this.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
when you hear yourself about to say, well, in the States, it's like, just try to catch yourself in every situation, because there is an interest, there's a curiosity. The South African people are very curious and welcoming to African Americans, but they're not looking for lectures.
Mm-mm.
And I think we've all, I've been guilty of it. I think, when you're first arriving, I think there's just such an overwhelm. That was a great word that you used, Mark. Like, you get activated because you realize so many things at once that just kind of create this like mind screw, because you're
Yeah.
like, wait, I was told this, but it looks like this, and I was also told this, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
But it really is an opportunity to put down the baggage that you've been carrying that really isn't your own, to then just come and like experience it. And I tell everyone, whether they decide to book trips with you guys or they decide to do it solo, the number one thing, like, be open-minded and be willing to reconsider everything you thought you knew about this country, because 9 times out of 10, majority of it is false. It's
Mm.
wrong.
Yeah.
And that's really important that, they get to hear it. I think from people that have been here, that are doing it, that may have also struggled, in the beginning. I know that was something that I realized I was doing. So what are some of the surprising feedback that you get, right, after people are getting ready to leave, after they've spent 10 days, 14 days with the real South Africa, outside of not wanting to leave? what are
Yeah.
some of the what's some of that feedback like, for you and for the company?
Yeah.
The feedback is always positive. They definitely feel lied to. A lot of them start seeing themselves as more African. They start to speak differently about their options for the future.
Yeah.
Within 3 days or so, they're like, oh, I can retire here. I can do this. I need to go back and start making a plan. So a lot of them, in addition to not wanting to leave, they get excited about coming back and excited about planning, which is why a lot of our clients are repeat offenders. They've come back and they've bought properties. They've come back and they've built relationships. They've come back and they've started businesses. But they do all of that after they've had their first visit, because now they know it exists and now they can come up with a plan. And I think that that's a lot of the feedback that we get, that they are thankful and grateful that we haven't kept it to ourselves, that we've shared and imparted our knowledge about how the country works and how to, make sure you greet people, and how that opens up doors for you by just talking to people. Short story, a young lady that visited 4 different states and 2 countries with us just recently, she was traveling alone and she met some people at one of the places she was at. They invited her out. She went out, they had dinner. I mean, those are the things that you can't get unless you get here. And once you start making friends, then you can see yourself here. And I think those are the things that make me the proudest, that people can start to see themselves here and make a new plan for their life.
Mm. I will add this, probably one of the biggest motivations to continue, doing what we're doing is that, I mean, I know most of us, and I mean, not mean most of us, not all of us, are very intelligent people, and most of us, when given a chance, regardless if it's in their hometowns or somewhere else in the country, in the U.S., they make the best out of it. But they got to get that chance, and a lot of times we don't get a chance. We don't. We just don't.
Yeah.
We're smart people across the board, and then they come here. And from my perspective, I just want to give them a chance. Just give them a
Yeah.
chance, and then they interact, and then like Tasha said, and then they start thinking, "Wow, I could do this and I could do that." And then you just kind of watch them here and there. They will send you a message here and there, and you might give them some guidance, so forth, as they're matriculating. But it's so funny because we sit back and we could just watch them. We'd be like, "Yeah, there they go, there they go," and then now they're doing this. There they go, there they go.
It's so good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
Yeah,
rewarding.
so that's the feedback that I personally say, okay, this let's continue. This help the next 10, 15, 50, 100 people
Yeah.
come through and make a difference, to the point to where now when we're out in the street, we run it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know us. A lot of South Africans, they always thank us. We constantly, I mean, I don't even go to Mall of Africa that much anymore, because every time we go there, there's always people stopping us. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm so thank you for bringing these Americans. Thank you for representing our country. Thank you for all these things. So, and that's part of the feedback as well, because the feedback comes from the Americans, and then the other part of the feedback comes from the South Africans, that we're showing South Africa in a good light. And the crappy part about it is, and I know firsthand, we can get into it if I had to, but SA tourism, proudly South African, brand SA. They're not focusing on showing this to us. Not like, oh, they're mad at the Black Americans. They got a
Yeah.
different agenda. It's a
Mhm.
government agency, and they have decided to market to these other locations. That's fine. So it's going to take us, and I'm including the other person on the screen over there. It's going to take us to show South Africa in a good light. We just do, like most Black people, we just do it ourselves anyway. So
Yep.
that's what ultimately part of the feedback. So we put it out there, it comes back positive, and then we just reinvest it back into, and that's why we're sitting here on your platform.
Yeah, that's why there is a platform, this platform.
Yeah.
It was, because of my experience with the Real South Africa. And yeah, we do what we can with what we have. And I think we've all identified this gap. And not because, I'd say there wasn't a whole lot of money involved in it in the beginning. It was more of the transformative experience. And to say, like, we've been through a lot collectively, and then as a people, then we're like, wait, there's an option. There's something else out there for us that isn't, you know, just the same. There's
Yeah,
so much value, so much peace, so much comfort, and all of those things that we said, okay, well, we want to share that. And I know we started with our families, and then it just turned into, what it is today. And it's been an honor to be able to be inspired by you both and kind of take the torch. Both of you, you have, behind the scenes just been an advocate for me. And and I know y'all don't, you're very particular in how you conduct business, for reasons, but then also in the relationships that you foster. And so I'm grateful to you both, and I'm honored to continue to collaborate with you. And I can't wait to have you again opening up the Travel Move Do Business virtual conference this weekend.
absolutely.
Just to continue to share more value and some of the things that are like really, really important for people to consider when traveling first, right? To then have the life beyond the tourist visa, that
Yeah,
you've created, that you've helped dozens, hundreds of other people create. And yes, South Africa it looks good on you.
It looks good on you too. I see you.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So of course, your information will be in the description, but are there any last words that you have for the community, or anything you want to talk about that you're going to be sharing this weekend with them, to encourage them to join you for your session?
So obviously this weekend we're going to talk more about tourism. We'll talk more about the things that we offer as far as packages are concerned. We not on our website, but we do have extended stay packages for those that want to really experience life here in South Africa. So we have that option as well. So we'll talk a little bit about what it is we actually offer on our website, the things that we can curate for you individually, because I know the people that are really trying to make the transition have other needs. So those are things we do offline. So those are some of the things that we'll discuss this weekend.
And in addition, what I wanted to say too is that a lot of people don't realize, because we try to run it down, regardless of who we deal with here in South Africa. I mean, we get pretty much everybody contacting us, high government officials, all the way down to everybody, wanting to interact, with African Americans, and especially in the business community, especially in the business community. So we want to probably talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit as well, this weekend, to talk about the owners and the business professionals here that are like, hey, if we had these Americans, we could do this, we could do that, and we have these conversations on a regular basis. And I think if we can just kind of shed the light, and then if somebody on the other screen can pick it up,
Yeah.
on the other side of the screen, and pick it up, and then kind of,
Okay.
oh, I didn't say that.
You
Did
know
I?
she's swift.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Brilliant.
Anyway, and just pick it up, and then we can have this, beautiful conduit that's forming to, to help facilitate some of this, action that's happening here. And of course, personally, I think we're all well positioned to get it done. So, and that's why people need to, come through this weekend, and check out the seminar. And, let's see what we can do, and we can answer some questions. We'll answer some questions. It's too easy.
Fantastic. Yes, people will be able to join on the screen and ask their questions directly, to you, and it's going to be valuable. This has been something that, the more we've done, the more we realize, like, oh, there's really a fit, and then people are so prepared. So if you're ready to really fast track your experience and bypass all of the guesswork and trying to figure it out yourself, and thinking that you can just really do this on your own. Listen, you can, but it's going to cost you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of stress. And none of us, Mark, Latasha, or I, want to hear from you when you're here and trying to figure it out, right? Because we have families, we have lives, we have businesses, and we want to help, right? But we want you to go through it the proper way so that you can get the most value and you can feel the most secure, and you're not backstepping and operating through anxiety, right? So invest the time and the money in advance to save yourself thousands of dollars, potentially tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and years of time trying to figure it out. This is what we asked for, right? The people have always said, oh, they should make it easier for us. And,
Yeah.
we're doing our best, right? But we have to take action on the things we desire and know that it's also equally our responsibility to do the work in the process. So yeah, we absolutely want to see you there this weekend. All of the information is in the description, and it's also kind of ticking below on the bottom of the video. So we'll see you next weekend. Share this video, like it, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And we will see you at the Travel Move Do Business virtual conference this weekend. Until the next time, guys, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.